A few days ago, a client came to me in a lot of anger. Let's call him Alex. So his anger was not loud, it wasn't dramatic, it was something very heavy that had been there for days, and Alex was really tired of it. And when he explained to me the reason why he was feeling like this, it all sounded very reasonable. Because, he had this very difficult client who demanded constant attention. So you see, all day long messages, questions, pressure. And at the same time, Alex felt longing for something completely different: silence, space, nature. So everything he wanted was to go to his country house and relax. And before we go further, I would like to say a few words about myself. My name is Olga and I work with GSR method. And on this channel, I tell real stories, my stories and stories of my clients' journeys about how subconscious and family patterns influence our lives, our actions, our exhaustion, and how they can be gently released. And this story is exactly about that. When we were having the session, Alex was already at his country house. So imagine trees, birds, quiet, everything that normally helped him. But this anger lingered. And I think that this situation is very familiar for people who know what a burnout is. So you see, before the session, Alex was ready to confront the client and to cut contact with him, to say no to him, even if it meant losing money. Not because Alex wanted conflict, but he felt that he has no energy to handle this difficult client anymore. But after the session, 2 hours later, Alex felt totally different. He was calm, he was balanced, and he said that all the situation now felt lighter. And he was ready to continue working with this client. And that alone means a lot. But this is where I would like to pause and say about something important. Because GSR session is not just a conversation, and it's not just analysis, and it's not advice. It's a very deep, energetic work because we work directly with the subconscious patterns. And when we do so, not only we see them very clearly, but also they are transformed and they dissolve. And it happens not through pushing, it happens not through effort, it happens very naturally. And we can see this new, very clean, very constructive energy flowing. So, during the session, it became clear that this difficult client was not the real reason behind Alex's anger. Actually, this anger was covering something much deeper: a long and quiet burnout that had been growing for years. Because, before this session, Alex had been living in a constant loop, day after day, responsibility after responsibility, without really checking in with himself. Alex lost contact with his inner voice, not because he didn't want to hear it, but because he had learned not to listen. And his desire to be outdoors all the time and his longing for solitude were just attempts of his system to restore this contact. But there was one inner pattern that didn't allow it, and it was a sense of duty, living for others. And once it was truly necessary because Alex had small children and he was needed, but life had changed and these children had grown up. So, the outer reality had changed completely, but the inner setting remained. I come last. And in the session, this pattern became visible, but not only that, it also shifted. The system recognized that it was no longer necessary. And when this happens on a deep energetic level, this change is not something you have to maintain with willpower because it simply becomes your new inner reality. And Um, Anger disappeared, and Alex no longer felt urged to defend himself or to attack. And in its place came something very balanced, very stable, and very quiet, this inner permission to listen to your inner voice, to hear it, and to live from the place of your real needs and without guilt. And that's why burnout is rarely just about work. It's very often about some inner resistance to a way of living or working that no longer serves you. And when this resistance is released, energy starts flowing and your inner reality changes. And now comes my favorite part of this story because yesterday I saw Alex again and I could barely recognize him because he was so happy, so calm, so energetic, and he was running to the office. He was running to the office and he told me that he was so happy to work, you know? And not unimportant, from materialistic point of view, Alex actually doesn't really have to work because he has enough money and he can just enjoy his retirement. But he was running to the office because he likes feeling needed. He likes this connection with people. It makes him feel alive. It makes him, it gives him fulfillment, you know? So, and I was so happy to see this. And this is what happens when burnout is resolved at the level where it was created. And the outer reality can look similar, but inner experience is completely different. And this is why I like GSR so much because, we don't force change. During the session, we just allow the system to reorganize itself. And that's why sometimes even one session is enough to change your whole life direction. So, thank you for listening. And please share this video with someone who might find it useful, with someone who might like it. And see you in the next videos.